Today we're going to look at your next paper that you're going to write, and the topic of that is a refutation. The definition of a refutation is a written encounter with contradicting points of view. It's the negation of an argument, opinion, testimony, doctrine, or theory through contradictory evidence. Basically, to prove something to be false or erroneous. In this next paper, your refutation paper, you'll have the opportunity to directly clash with arguments presented by an author with whom you disagree. Of course, that author will be given to you, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, but you'll take that piece and you're basically going to say why it's wrong. The methods of refuting someone else's claims are fairly simple. The first is logic, which is pretty much just your brain power. So if something sounds off to you, think about why it might be off. What makes it sound like something might not be right here? And when you come to your conclusion of why, that's using your logic. It doesn't require any research. It could, but it doesn't require it. It doesn't require you to go really deep into sciences and philosophy and all of those things. You're just using your brain power and what you might have already learned up to this point. The next method is evidence, and this may or may not require more research, probably more than surely logic. And it's the proof that you're right. You're saying this person is wrong because, and you might quote the Bible. You might quote a news source. You might quote what you know of the laws of science. Any kind of proof that would prove that this person is wrong and you're right. And exposing discrepancies. These are actual errors in the work. So the evidence is proof that you're right. The discrepancies are the errors in the person's actual work. In writing your refutation, you have 4 basic steps. The first step is to restate, and this will be in your introduction. You might say something like, the author says that, and then you'll concisely and fairly summarize the argument. And then you say your refutation, but I think that, and that really is your thesis, which will be the last sentence of your introduction. And you can phrase that sentence really however you want, basically saying, although the author says this, it isn't true because, and you state your thesis. The bulk of your paper is your support. Every paragraph you're giving another reason why this person has been wrong, why this person doesn't have proof, why your proof is right, and why this person, how this person has discrepancies. And then you write your conclusion. You're going to be writing a refutation of the myth of moderation in religion. You'll also be doing some comprehensive questions and answers, so this will be a little bit of a help and a jump start for you. If I were writing a refutation of the myth of moderation in religion, I would start by first addressing what the author said that I find is erroneous. So I might say, he says, by failing to live by the letter of the text while tolerating the irrationality of those who do, religious moderates betray faith and reason equally. And that will lead me into my thesis. At a glance, Harris's arguments may seem valid. However, all of his claims are invalid in light of a proper understanding of the purpose and context of the Bible. And that's my thesis, which will go at the end of my introduction. From there, I'll go into my support, and remember that the support is the bulk of the paper. You'll have paragraph upon paragraph of support. And so in some of my support, I'll expose the discrepancies. I'll use proof based on the Bible in this instance, and I'll use my logic. So in this one, I'm exposing discrepancies and kind of using proof too. because I say, God gave the Israelites the law to accomplish special purposes for the Jews and setting them apart as his people. When Christ came and paid the ransom for our sins, he replaced the law with grace and love. For Harris to claim that Christians are moderate for not stoning their wives if caught in an affair reveals his ignorance concerning the practice of Jewish law. And I'll go into my other support, my other reasons, but this is just addressing one area in which he was erroneous. I'm going to address several in this refutation. I need to address several because that's what's going to really prove to my reader that, yeah, this guy has a lot of flaws in this essay, and this is why I'm refuting it. This is how I'm proving that it's wrong. And then I'll lead to my conclusion, which is basically a restatement of my thesis, that Harris's arguments against moderation, and even Christianity itself, are flawed due to a lack of understanding of the purpose and context of biblical passages. So in your refutation, you're going to be refuting the myth of moderation in religion, just like I did. And you're going to start with an introduction that states the claims made by the author, and you're just summarizing what he said fairly, concisely, and accurately. You're not attacking him in the introduction to the work. You're just stating what he said, and then you're ending it with your thesis. This is wrong because Harris's beliefs about moderation in religion are flawed due to his, and you'll state your thesis. And from there, you'll go into your support, using logic, using evidence, and exposing the discrepancies within the work. Use strong organization. Every new point should begin a new paragraph. And be aware that your tone can be conversational. It doesn't have to be the academic tone of a rigid research paper. You're refuting, and you could kind of almost think of it as an editorial if you wanted to. So read The Myth of Moderation. It would really help you to read it through 2 or 3 times and answer those comprehensive questions, and that will really help you to digest the work and to really get into it and start forming your own opinions of it. Take notes while you read it, and even jot down the reasons that he's wrong for everything that he's saying as you're reading it. Read it with a notebook and take down those notes, and that will help you to be as concise as you possibly can and to really know what you're talking about. And as always, if you need anything, you can shoot me an email or post in the hallway, and I'll get to it as soon as possible.